So I woke up with 2 additional fillings with no choice in the matter. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We all need a little bit of help from time to time. So this video is all about how you can get the most out of your relationship with the practitioners that you work with during your health recovery, so that you can feel empowered but also feel like you're making progress towards your health goals. If you're new here, hi, I'm Rachel and I'm an emotional health coach, and I recovered using emotional healing and medical medium from hypothyroid, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia and IBS. And this channel is all about the mind-body connection and how you can harness emotional healing to speed up your recovery. It's really important that you work in partnership with your practitioner. In the past, we'd break a limb and the doctor would fix it for us. But when it comes to chronic illness recovery, that way of being, that passive way of receiving health treatment, it just doesn't work anymore. I used to turn up for my appointments with physiotherapists and doctors and dentists and emotional health people, really feeling like they had to do all the work. They had to fix me. I expected them to tell me everything that I needed to know, and that as long as I followed what they told me to do, that I would recover. And that left me feeling really quite disappointed, because I really had to play my part if I wanted to get better. And chronic illness really requires a multi-pronged approach. It's not just about food and supplements or medicine. There's an emotional component to it. There's a spiritual component. There's an environmental component. We need to take into account all these different parts, and there's not one person who can tell you everything that you need to know. And neither can they be right all the time, because they're just human after all. So as the outcome is the most important thing to you, and it's more important to you than anybody else, you need to get involved. You need to play an active part and really be prepared to be in partnership with your practitioners, knowing that they will do quite a bit of the heavy lifting, but that you need to do your own research and pick up some of the other parts to really make those big changes in your health situation that you're looking to make. Choose people who you respect, but also that respect you. I can't stress this enough. I worked with a dentist who put me under general anaesthetic and drilled 2 teeth that we hadn't discussed without my permission. So I woke up with 2 additional fillings with no choice in the matter. And that is a really big violation of trust right there. And I've worked with clients who've had some really quite invasive tests and procedures done, really against their will or without any of their questions or concerns being covered off. And they felt really pressured and hurried to sign up for those. And actually some of them have really turned into some quite disastrous health consequences for those people. And I'm sure you've experienced this yourself, or perhaps you know somebody who's dealing with pain or fatigue and being told that there's nothing wrong with them. And this can lead you to feel really invalidated and frustrated and unheard. So if a practitioner doesn't listen to you, if they're stuck in their own ego, they are not the practitioner for you. And it's really important during your recovery to work with people who see, hear and feel you. They understand what you're going through, and they treat you with kindness and compassion. They see you as a person and also the expert of your own body. And they don't disregard your questions or your concerns. They're valid and important. You deserve to work with people who treat you like they would treat their own mind and body, as the precious things that they are. Often when we work with practitioners, we can really start to believe in the finality of what they're telling us. But I believe it's really important to have a bit of healthy skepticism when you're working with people. And I'm not talking about paranoia where you don't trust anything that anybody tells you. But instead, when you're told that there's nothing that can be done or that you need the most invasive treatment, I would question that and do a little bit more research. And if something doesn't feel right, an empowered person knows that they don't need to feel pressured or hurried. And they know that there are always other options. I only really started to get into this mindset towards the end of my recovery, when I started developing these really extreme headaches and tooth pain, which I later found out was TMJ, but it took 12 months to find that out. And during that time, I went from dentist to ears, nose and throat doctor to maxillofacial. And along the way, I got told that nothing could be found, there was nothing wrong, and that maybe it would change, until I got to the maxillofacial and he said, you have TMJ. During that time, I really had to not take no for an answer. I had to continually keep pressing forward, keep going, questioning everything I was told, because the alternative to me looked like a lifetime of physical pain and impairment, because it was very debilitating. So the maxillofacial surgeon recommended I have this operation. And it was a temporary operation, which meant he said I'd have to go back every 6 months to have it. And I don't know how much it costs, but 30 minutes of a maxillofacial surgeon where you're under general anaesthetic, we're running into thousands of pounds. And my insurance refused to pay for it because it was temporary. And after spending months trying to get them to fund it, I had to get creative. And I started doing lots of research, and I got a much better understanding of what could be going on in my jaw. So I went back to the maxillofacial and I said, look, I would really like to try physiotherapy. It's a non-invasive treatment and I know that my insurance will pay for it. What do you think? And his exact words were, well, you can try it, but I don't think it's going to help. And I don't have TMJ anymore. I went for the physiotherapy and it worked. I refused to believe that that was going to be the end for me. I refused to believe that there were no other options. And that's why it's important to have a bit of a healthy skepticism, because there are a lot of options out there. And if we close ourselves off to the finality of what one person says, we're not opening ourselves up to the other options. And it's really worth remembering that just about every disease and condition has survivors, has people who beat the odds. And when we keep that in mind, we realize that recovery is not a case of if, but when. When we get a diagnosis, it can feel like we're branded for life. It has quite a lot of baggage associated with it. Diagnosis comes with prognosis. And if we believe the prognosis and the diagnosis, we can tend to play these in autopilot in the background. So it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And they can set the course for how we behave and our experience and perception of the illness. So if you always believe you're going to have hypothyroid, for example, are you likely to stick to your eating plan? Are you likely to believe that anything you're trying is going to work for you? Are you going to be tuned into the belief that you can heal and getting all the mind-body benefits that come with that? Do you feel calm? Do you feel peaceful? No. And people who are empowered just see the label for what it is. It's one person's opinion. And yes, it's based on their experience, but it's still one person. Rather than seeing as a life sentence, try not to embody the illness. See the diagnosis as a challenge that you need to navigate rather than something that sets the course for your life. We often think when we're chronically ill that we're being treated by a practitioner, and they treat us. They choose the treatment and we do what they say. And so it can feel like we don't have a lot of options for the treatments that we sign up for. And energetically, that can be really quite passive and stressful, because it can seem like we really don't have a lot of choice. I used to accept the tests that the doctors said I had to have, and I wouldn't be happy doing a lot of them. So I was really in a quiet state of passive resignation, neither optimistic nor really annoyed about doing them, just accepting that this was my fate. And I didn't really question if these tests and things that were done to me were actually a really good idea, and some of them did some awful things to my health. And because I didn't feel like I had a choice, I felt rushed and under pressure to make a decision about these things. And every treatment we have is a choice. We can decide to do it, or we can decide not to do it and do something else. And that can be really empowering. So don't feel rushed to do treatments or to have particular tests. If it feels right, it will come to you. Just take your time. Being rushed and pressured is not a good way to make a sound choice for your health. So have you found these tips helpful? Let me know. And what aspects of relationships with practitioners do you find difficult? Our health is a manifestation of both the physical and the emotional part of ourselves. So if you want to find out more about how emotional healing can get you closer to your recovery goals, have a chat with me about one-to-one coaching or my new 12-week program. I'd really love to hear from you. And if you want to learn 5 really easy things that you can do immediately to lower your stress, check out this video. I hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.